Some of the lies that we hear as aspiring artists, hobbyists, and professionals stop us from reaching for the things that we desire as artists and creatives, from sharing our art, from creating the art, from even selling the art. So in today's episode, I will be diving into 3 of the big ones. Let's get ready, let's get comfortable, get that tea rolling. So the very first one is the fact that you need to be a genius, that you need to be some kind of Picasso or Michelangelo. Now, I love to look at some evidence. I like to go back, do some digging. So let's take a look at some of this evidence. So according to craftsman and author Roger Coleman, Michelangelo, who identified with the careful procedure of making studies, sketches, and working drawings, thought that this was the menial and mundane side of business. So he actually burned these images. By burning his drawings, Michelangelo was destroying the evidence of the menial and mundane work that constituted his creative process. He aimed to leave behind only finished masterpieces, bolstering his image as a creator of sublime genius. This is quite something. I mean, this was in the 15th century, but I still believe that in some ways this still exists. We somehow want to see the genius finished product, and we don't really want to think about the process as much. I think it kind of reminds me of social media in a way, because you have all these finished and polished images, but you never really actually know what took place. Maybe they had to work on this image over and over again. They had to think about the composition again, rework the colors until it got to the point where they were satisfied with the image. But in most cases, it's that finished image that we tend to kind of glorify and not the process itself. You see, art is a process. I think the process should be glorified, as mundane and menial as it may seem. So I have a story that kind of relates back to this point. So some years ago, I'd say over 10 years ago, I was attending this small college outside of Canada. During our drawing sessions, or even after the drawing sessions, we would be kind of in fear in a sense, because you'd be told that your drawings, weren't good enough. Now, I understand that the perspective of the teachers may have been a little bit different, because to become an artist, you really did have to work super hard. But I think words are really powerful. Sometimes those words can really stick in your brain, and you might end up being overly critical with yourself and thinking that, perhaps I should not pursue this, or just doing it half-heartedly. So years later, I attended an art college here in Canada, and I was one of the few lucky, I don't want to call it lucky, but anyway, I actually won a provincial award. Hey, I actually got $1,000. I remember I got $1,000 for that award. I do remember though, that I never really thought much of it. I kind of thought, yes, but I'm not all that great, or I don't think I deserve this award, and yet I got this award. Right? Not surprisingly, after that, I did put art on the back burner, just because my mindset wasn't quite in the right place in terms of creating, and you need to be in the right place and space to be creative. What's really important is your desire to continue making art on a consistent basis and showing up. That's one of the most important things. Be allowing your mind to roam, allowing yourself to delve into whatever creative imaginations or creative experimenting is super important. Can you imagine the kind of discoveries you have when you decide that you're going to let go of any restrictions, let go of any preconceived ideas about creating, and just dive into the medium? You are going to unearth something that you never ever imagined. The next big lie is that your art is only as good as the amount of money that you make for it. This is a really big one. As always, I will dive into some of the research or the books, some of the books I've been reading. And this one is by Daniel Priestley, Entrepreneur Revolution. In this book, he talks about how money is merely a transfer of value, right? So what you're doing as an artist, as a creative, as a rebel, you are doing something that's uniquely important to you. You're able to convey the importance of this, or hopefully the art actually just speaks for itself and people are able to see the importance in this artwork. The thing though with art is that there are so many different values in the art, so many different parts of the art. It's not simply a pretty picture, which can be reproduced by AI and then you could just pay $50 for it. There are so many segments to it that the amount of value that that piece of artwork is significantly high. It's just that some people do not have a true understanding of the value that lies, or the importance that lies in the creative art that you're creating. Let's talk about one of these segments, one of these parts of the whole when it comes to creating. For example, influences. So when I'm creating a painting, I'm heavily influenced by sculpture and print because I spent so many years making prints and making sculptures. So you will see that there are some elements that show up in my paintings that relate back to sculpture and print. That cannot be erased. You can't erase that experience. It can't just be a separate little thing. Everything, whether it's the story of your identity, who you are, whether it's the influences, right, all come together to form this whole. The third big lie, or the third and foremost big lie, is that AI is taking over art and it is the end of originality. First off, AI does not have human experiences. Maybe imagination. Maybe it can compile images, a variety of different images in different ways and so on. But the experience is that part that is often lacking in a computer generated image or the story, unless of course there's an artist behind that computer generated image and there is some kind of a story that they're creating. But in saying that AI is literally gonna take over, I feel that this is a false idea or notion. I think AI is there to help in many different ways, but it's not gonna take over. I actually had this conversation with a family member and they actually said something that I thought was really important. Art has actually existed from the dawn of civilization. So people have been creating art. Think of that caveman art that you've seen in Spain or in Zimbabwe. Art has existed since way before AI came into existence. The question remains that can AI actually have modern experiences? Well, they're not modern. They're experiences that have existed since the dawn of civilization. So my question is, can AI have deep connections, deep and meaningful connections that can then be conveyed in some form of art? Are they capable of adversity, facing adversity and hardship that can be conveyed in music, art, and any other form that is creative? But the thing to realize though is that it's not all doom with AI. It is there to make things easier. Just from the top of my head, I'm thinking of generative AI images that you can create in Photoshop and in Illustrator. And I'm sure there's like a million more that you can probably post. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Share with your friends, like and subscribe, and I will be back with some more goodness. Yeah.